welcome to another interesting class on English language. My name is Imbrilumaribala from Condoleezza, and our theme for today is Oracy Skills Listening Comprehension. And our topic for today is Listening to Identify Details Part 2. Now, by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to identify the subject of a message, identify the main ideas and supporting ideas, locate words signifying details, explain how such words signify details rather than the main ideas, listen to speeches attentively, and identify illustrations of the main points via details. Every speaker or author has an idea that they want to pass to their audience. Now, this idea is for the purpose of informing, educating, entertaining, or persuading their listeners or readers. Therefore, it is important for us to pay attention to certain words or sentences that help explain this message better. And these words or sentences can be in the form of illustrations, examples, or arguments. Now, let's take a look at what makes up a message. Now, when we listen to speeches or discussions, we listen to understand. Now, there are three key things that we should look out for: the subject, main ideas, and supporting ideas. Now, let's take a look at these three things in detail. Speeches or other forms of verbal communications are always centered on certain people or things. The subject is that idea in the message that identifies the who or what of the message. Now, let's take a look at a definition of the subject. The subject identifies who or what the message is about. It is the topic of the sentence and it gives a clue of what the message is all about. Now, let's see how we can identify the subject. From these sentences, the first sentence says, Ronke loves chocolate. She likes taking it to school every day. The second sentence says, I watched the movie last night. It was very funny and interesting. Now, from example 1, the subject is Ronke. Why? This is because the sentence tells us all about Ronke. She loves chocolate and she likes taking it to school every day. For example 2, the subject is a movie. This is because the sentences in example 2 tells us about the movie I watched last night. It is very funny and interesting. Now let's find out what the main idea is. Unlike the subject that tells us about the who or what of the message, the main idea carries the most important part of the message. It carries the most important idea. That is, it tells us what the speaker is trying to pass across to the listeners. Now, the main idea may be found in the first sentence of the writing or speech. It can also be found at the end of a paragraph or a conversation. The sentence that carries the main idea in a speech or a piece of writing is known as a topic sentence. The main idea may also be about something learned or the moral of a story. Now let's go on to see how we can identify the main idea. In Africa, greeting is a way we show respect to our parents and elders. In some tribes, we greet by prostrating, kneeling, or a slight bow. No matter the culture or tribe, as an African youth, it is expected that we greet our elders. Now, from the paragraph above, the main idea is the fact that greeting is a sign of respect in Africa. While the topic sentence from the paragraph is, in Africa, greeting is a way we show respect to our parents and elders. Next, we'll be looking at the types of main ideas. There are two types of main ideas. We have the stated main idea and the implied or unstated main idea. The stated main idea is a type of main idea that is directly spoken or written in the message. It can be found in the topic sentence and it gives a clear information about the topic discussed. Now, remember from the paragraph we just read earlier that the main idea was found in the topic sentence. That is the first sentence of that paragraph. Now, the stated main idea is clearly written or spoken in the message that the speaker is trying to pass across, and this main idea can be found in the topic sentence. While the unstated or implied main idea is a type of main idea that is not clearly stated. This means that the speaker or writer allows the listeners to interpret the main idea from what they understood from the message. The implied main idea may not have a topic sentence. This is because it is not clearly written or spoken in the message. Now the listeners or the readers have to interpret the message or bring out the main idea the way they understand it. Now let's take a look at an example of a stated main idea. Before the examination, Mrs. Onome informed the class that examination malpractice will not be acceptable because it is bad. She said that examination malpractice can be likened to stealing because the people involved steal to pass their exams. Now, in the above passage, the main idea is that examination malpractice is bad. Therefore, Mrs. Onome informed the class that examination malpractice will not be acceptable because it is bad is the topic sentence. Now, let's take a look at how we can identify an implied main idea. Audrey has been visiting the hospital for some days now to get his doctor's report. They kept telling him the doctor traveled and will return the next day. Today, a nurse asked him to pay extra money so she can help him see the doctor. Audrey refused and walked out of the hospital looking sober. From the passage we just read, we can say that the main idea is that there is corruption in the hospital. Now, let's take a look at what a supporting idea is. The supporting ideas or details are those words or group of words that help explain the main idea. Now, in order for us to identify the main idea, we need those little details to help us explain the ideas better. Now, whether the idea is stated or implied, the supporting detail helps to explain the how, when, where, and why of the main idea. The supporting idea also helps the main idea by giving illustrations, examples, descriptions, explanations, and even to expand the main idea. Now let's take a look at ways to identify the supporting ideas or details. Supporting ideas are specific. That is, they explain the who, the what, the why, where, the when, and how questions raised by the main idea. Also, supporting details or ideas have various forms. They can be in the form of reasons, examples, definitions, comparisons, descriptions, and so on. They also have certain keywords that introduce the above forms, and they are because, for example, consequently, such as, in other words, as a result, and so on. Now, let us see how we can use these keywords in identifying the supporting idea. First, we have the keyword because. This keyword is used to introduce the cause or reason for an idea. For example, Tola is looking sad because she lost her pet. Now, you see that the reason Tola is looking sad is because she lost her pet. Next, we have the following keywords, for example, in other words, or such as. These keywords are used to introduce examples that show support, importance, and also illustrate or describe an idea. Next, as a result, this keyword simply shows the effect of an idea. For example, it rained heavily this morning, and as a result of that, I went to school late. Now let's take a look at the next keyword, consequently. This is used to show that there was an effect after a particular time. Now let's go on to see an example of how one of these keywords was used in a speech. This is a speech by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Above all else, do not lie. Be courageous enough to accept that life is messy. Your life will not always perfectly match your ideology. Sometimes, even your choices will not align with your ideology. Don't justify and rationalize it. Acknowledge it, because it is in trying to justify that we get into that twisting, dark, unending tunnel of lies, from which it is sometimes impossible to re-emerge whole. Now, from the speech we just read, it can be noticed that the author's main idea is that we should be courageous enough to accept life's imperfection. And she used the keyword because to give a reason. Having said all this, we've come to the end of this class, but before we go, let's take a look at all we've done so far. Today, we've learned that the subject identifies who or what the message is about, why the central message the speaker is trying to pass across is known as the main idea. We also learned that there are two types of main idea, and they are stated main idea and implied or unstated main idea. And lastly, the supporting idea or details help to explain the main idea with words like because, such as, for example, in other words, and so on. Now, before we go, let's test ourselves with the following questions. Question 1. How is the signifying detail as a result of used? Option A. It is used to define the main idea. Option B. It shows the effect of an idea. Option C. It shows the result for an idea. The correct answer is option B. It shows the effect of an idea. Question 2. Which among these is true about the implied main idea? Option A. It is an idea not clearly stated. Option B. It helps explain the main idea. Option C. It is a type of supporting detail. The correct answer is option A. It is an idea not clearly stated. This will be all for this class. I believe you now know how to identify the subject, the main ideas or supporting ideas in speech or other verbal communications. See you next time. Bye-bye.